I was standing in line at Home Depot, holding a new drill bit and thinking about the deck I'd been meaning to fix, when my phone buzzed with a message from a number I didn't recognize. You deserve to know the truth about your wife. Attached was a screenshot. My first instinct was to delete it. Probably some scam, right? But something made me click. The image loaded slowly, and I felt my stomach drop as I recognized the profile picture in the corner. It was from my wife Natalie's Instagram account, the private one she used for close friends. The message thread showed her conversation with someone named Jay from 2 days ago. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Ryan's working late again. Same hotel as last time? Yes. Room 412. I'll be there at 8. The drill bit clattered to the floor. A woman behind me asked if I was okay, but her voice sounded like it was coming from underwater. I picked up the bit with shaking hands, abandoned my cart, and walked straight to my truck. Sitting in the parking lot, I stared at that screenshot for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. Tomorrow. She'd written tomorrow, which meant... I checked the date on the screenshot again. This was from Wednesday. Today was Thursday. Today. I looked at my watch. 6:47 p.m. She'd told me this morning she had book club tonight. Said she'd be home around 10. My hands were surprisingly steady as I opened the Find My Phone app. We'd set it up years ago when Natalie got lost hiking. I'd honestly forgotten it existed. The little blue dot that represented her phone sat motionless on the screen, and the address made my chest tighten. The Riverside Inn, about 20 minutes from our house in the opposite direction of where her book club met. I sat there in that parking lot, watching that blue dot, and felt something cold settle in my chest. Not the explosive anger I would have expected, not tears or panic, just ice. 15 years of marriage. 2 kids, Emma, 13, and Tyler, 10. A mortgage, a golden retriever named Biscuit. Weekend barbecues with neighbors. Family vacations to the same lake house every summer. All of it suddenly feeling like a stage set that someone was about to strike. I started the truck and began driving. Not toward the hotel, not yet. I needed to think. I ended up at the park where we used to take the kids when they were little, sitting on a bench as the sun set, staring at my phone. The rational part of my brain kicked in. One screenshot from an unknown number wasn't proof. It could be faked. This could be someone trying to mess with me or with Natalie. Maybe an ex-friend with a grudge. I should talk to her. Give her a chance to explain. But that blue dot hadn't moved. I called my buddy James, keeping my voice level. Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you check if Natalie's at the library on Oakwood? The book club meets there. Sure, man. Why don't you just call her? Just, please? 10 minutes later, he called back. I'm at the library. There's no book club here tonight. Building closes at 7 on Thursdays. What's going on? I hung up without answering. The drive to the Riverside Inn took exactly 18 minutes. I parked 3 rows back from the entrance, in a spot where I could see the front doors but wouldn't be immediately visible. The blue dot on my phone confirmed she was still here. My phone showed 8:23 p.m. If the screenshot was real, she'd been here for over 20 minutes. I should have stormed in, confronted them, made a scene. That's what happens in movies, right? But I just sat there, engine off, watching the entrance. Because once I walked through those doors, once I confirmed what I already knew in my gut, everything would change. There'd be no going back to this morning when my biggest concern was a loose board on the deck. A text from Natalie lit up my screen. Book club running long. Probably won't be home until 10:30. Love you. Love you. I took a screenshot of her message. Then I opened my photos and looked at the image the unknown number had sent me. Really looked at it this time, checking for signs of manipulation. But the fonts matched. The interface looked genuine. And that was definitely Natalie's profile picture. A photo from our anniversary dinner last month, the one where she wore that blue dress. My phone buzzed again. The unknown number. Room 412, fourth floor. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. I typed back, "Who is this?" 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Then, "Someone who was in your position 6 months ago. He was my husband." My hands tightened on the steering wheel. So, Jay was a married man, or had been. Another message. "Get evidence, photos, videos, whatever you can. Trust me, you'll need it." I looked up at the hotel. It was one of those mid-range places, nice enough but not fancy. 4 stories of brick and glass. I could see lit windows on the 4th floor. The old me, the me from this morning, would have called this crazy. Would have said there had to be an explanation. Would have trusted my wife of 15 years, the mother of my children, the woman who still left little notes in my lunch and kissed me goodbye every morning. But that me had never seen that screenshot, had never watched that blue dot sit motionless at a hotel while she texted him about book club. I got out of the truck and started walking toward the entrance. I was halfway across the parking lot when my phone buzzed again. The anonymous number. "Don't go in yet." I stopped. A couple walked past me toward the entrance, laughing about something. The woman's hand was on the man's arm. Normal people doing normal things. Me. Why not? 3 dots appeared immediately. Because you need to think about what you want from this. Evidence? Confrontation? Just knowing? Different goals need different approaches. I stood there under the parking lot lights, feeling the weight of the phone in my hand. My heart was hammering, but my mind felt oddly clear, sharp. Me. Evidence. Smart. Then you don't go in at all. Not yet. Me. What do you mean? If you confront them now, you get drama, tears, excuses. Maybe she admits it, maybe she doesn't. Either way, it's your word against hers about what you saw. She'll minimize. Say it was a mistake, a one-time thing, she was confused, whatever. The dots appeared again before I could respond. But if you document everything, tonight, and whatever else is coming, you have leverage. For lawyers, for custody, for making sure she can't rewrite history later. I looked back at the hotel entrance. 4th floor, room 412. Natalie was up there right now, with someone. Me. How do I document it? Photos, but not confrontation photos. Evidence photos. Her car in the lot. The hotel entrance with timestamp. If you can get a shot of them leaving together, even better. But the key is, she can't know you know. Not yet. My jaw tightened. The idea of just walking away. Letting it happen. Coming back later and pretending everything was normal. Me. I don't know if I can do that. I couldn't either. The first time I found out, I kicked down the hotel room door. Literally, broke the lock. Found him with your wife, actually. The words hit me like cold water. Me. What? Sorry, poor phrasing. Found him with his affair partner, not your wife. But same situation, same type of room. Probably same lies he told me about where he was. Me. What happened? He cried, she left. He swore it was over. I believed him because I wanted to. We went to counseling. He got better at hiding it. 6 months later, I found out there had been 3 others. The hotel room confrontation didn't stop anything. It just taught him to be more careful. I felt something settle in my chest, something cold and methodical. Me. So you're saying I should just leave? I'm saying you should think like a lawyer, not a husband. Right now, you have the advantage. She doesn't know you know. That's power. Use it. I looked at my phone, 8:31 p.m. Then I pulled up. Find my phone again. The blue dot sat stationary at the Riverside Inn. Me. What do I do? Take photos of her car. Make sure the license plate is visible and the hotel sign is in the shot. Check the timestamp on the photos. Then go home. When she gets back, Act normal. Don't mention book club unless she does. Start documenting everything. Every late night, every phone call she takes in another room, every time her story doesn't add up. Me. And then what? Then you call a lawyer. You show them everything. You file first, on your terms, with evidence she can't dispute. You protect yourself and your kids. I walked slowly through the parking lot, scanning for Natalie's car. It was a silver Honda Accord. We'd bought it 3 years ago when the old minivan finally died. Emma had helped pick it out. She'd liked the color. I found it in the third row, parked under a light. The license plate was clearly visible. I pulled out my phone and took a photo. Then another from a different angle, making sure the hotel sign was visible in the background. The timestamp showed 8:34 p.m. My hands were steady. That surprised me. I walked back toward the entrance and took a photo of the hotel sign, the Riverside Inn, with the building behind it. Then one of the entrance itself. The whole time I kept thinking, Natalie is upstairs, right now, in room 412. Me. Got the photos. Good. Now leave. Go home or go somewhere else, but don't stay there. The longer you're in that parking lot, the more likely she sees you. Me. She doesn't know my truck. I'd bought it 2 months ago, used, from a guy James knew. Natalie had only seen it a handful of times, never paid much attention. She was always focused on her own car, her own schedule. Even better. But still, don't push your luck. I walked back to the truck and sat in the driver's seat. The hotel was visible through the windshield. 4th floor. I counted windows, trying to figure out which one might be 412. Me. How long do I wait? For what? Me. To file, to tell her I know. The response took longer this time. That depends on what else you find. If this is ongoing, you'll see patterns. Late nights, unexplained absences, phone behavior changes. Document all of it. When you have enough that there's no way she can explain it away, then you move. Me. How long did you wait? Too long. I kept thinking I needed more proof, more evidence. Really, I was just scared to blow up my life. Don't make that mistake. Once you have enough, act. I checked Find My Phone again. The blue dot hadn't moved. 8:41 p.m. How long had she been in there? I'd gotten the first message around 6:30. She'd texted me that book club was running long at 7:15, so probably since, 6 7 almost 2 hours, maybe more. My phone buzzed. But this time, it wasn't the anonymous number. It was Natalie. Heading home soon. Book club was great. Want me to pick up anything? I stared at the message. The casual cheerfulness of it. The exclamation point. The offer to pick something up, like she was really at the library, really coming from book club. The blue dot on Find My Phone hadn't moved. She was still at the hotel. Me. No thanks. Drive safe. I watched the 3 dots appear, then disappear, then appear again. Love you. I locked my phone and set it on the passenger seat. The anonymous number buzzed again. Did she message you? Me. Yeah. Says she's heading home soon from book club. Of course she did. She's establishing her timeline. When she gets home, she'll probably have details ready. Who was there? What book they discussed? Maybe even a receipt from somewhere nearby to back up her story. Me. You think she's done this before? I think people who lie this smoothly have practiced. But that's something you'll figure out as you look back. You'll start remembering things that didn't quite add up. Nights she was late. Weekends she had errands that took too long. Phone calls she took in the other room. I thought about the last few months. Had there been signs? Late nights at work, but she'd always had late nights sometimes. Girls' weekends. But she'd been taking those for years. Phone calls in the other room. But wasn't that just normal? People talked on the phone. Or maybe I'd just been blind. Me. What if I'm wrong? The response came back immediately. You're not. Her phone is at that hotel right now. She lied about where she is. Even if somehow this isn't what it looks like, and it is, she's still lying to you. That's not nothing. I looked at the hotel again. The windows glowed warm against the darkening sky. Behind one of them, Natalie was. I couldn't finish the thought. Me. I should go home. Yes. And when she gets there, you act normal. You ask about book club. You listen to her lie. And you remember that every word she says is evidence. I started the truck. The engine rumbled to life, and I sat there for a moment with my hands on the steering wheel. Then I backed out of the parking space and drove toward the exit. I didn't look at the fourth-floor windows. I didn't check Find My Phone. I just drove. Behind me, the Riverside Inn disappeared into the night. I pulled into our driveway at 8:47 p.m. The house looked exactly as I'd left it. Porch light on, Emma's bike leaning against the garage, the basketball hoop Tyler never put away casting a long shadow across the lawn. Everything normal. Everything wrong. I sat in the truck for a minute, engine ticking as it cooled. My phone showed Natalie's blue dot still at the Riverside Inn. She'd texted me again 20 minutes ago. Almost done. Be home soon. Love you. Almost done. I got out and went inside. Biscuit met me at the door, tail wagging, oblivious. I scratched behind his ears and moved through the house on autopilot, checked that the kids were asleep, turned off lights they'd left on, picked up Tyler's jacket from the couch. Then I went to our bedroom. I'd never searched through Natalie's things before. 15 years of marriage and I'd never once gone through her phone, her email, her drawers. That was the deal, right? Trust, privacy, partnership. But standing there in our bedroom, looking at her nightstand with its stack of paperback novels and reading glasses, I realized I didn't know what I was looking for. Evidence? I already had that. The anonymous contact was right. I needed more than photos of a car in a parking lot. I opened her nightstand drawer, receipts, bookmark, hand lotion, a journal I'd never seen before. My hands were steady as I picked it up. Black leather, expensive looking. The kind of thing you buy when you want your thoughts to feel important. I opened it. The first entry was dated 3 months ago. Her handwriting, that familiar looping script I'd seen on birthday cards and grocery lists and notes in the kids' lunchboxes. Saw him again today at the coffee shop. We talked for almost an hour. I know I shouldn't, but it feels so easy, like breathing. I flipped forward. More entries, more hymns, descriptions of conversations, of feelings, of a growing connection that made her feel alive again and seen in ways she hadn't felt in years. Ryan is a good man, a good father. But when was the last time he really looked at me? When was the last time we talked about anything except schedules and bills and who needs to pick up Tyler from practice? My chest felt tight. I kept reading. We kissed today, in his car behind the grocery store. I told myself it wouldn't happen again. But God, I want it to. The entries got more frequent, more detailed, plans to meet, excuses she'd used, book club, girls' night, volunteering at Emma's school, a whole architecture of lies, carefully constructed, meticulously maintained. He makes me feel like I'm 25 again, like I'm not just someone's wife or someone's mother, like I'm still me. The most recent entry was from yesterday. Tomorrow night, the Riverside Inn. I told Ryan it's book club. He won't check. He never does. That's the thing about Ryan. He trusts completely. Sometimes I wonder if that's love or just not paying attention. I closed the journal, set it back in the drawer exactly where I'd found it. My hands were still steady. My phone buzzed. The anonymous number. She left the hotel, heading your direction. I checked Find My Phone. The blue dot was moving. She'd be home in 15 minutes. I went downstairs. Made coffee even though I didn't want any. I needed something to do with my hands, needed the ritual of it, the measuring, the pouring, the waiting. My phone buzzed again. You found something. Not a question, a statement. I typed back, journal, 3 months of entries. Take photos, every page, do it now. I went back upstairs, used my phone to photograph every entry in Natalie's journal, making sure the dates were visible, making sure her handwriting was clear. 43 pages. 43 entries chronicling the death of my marriage. I put everything back exactly as it had been. Closed the drawer, smoothed the bedspread where I'd sat. My phone buzzed. Good. Now act normal. Don't confront. Not yet. I went back downstairs. The coffee was done. I poured a cup and stood at the kitchen window, looking out at nothing. Headlights swept across the front of the house at 9:14 p.m. I heard her car door shut, her keys in the lock, the door opening. Ryan, you still up? Her voice was bright, cheerful, normal. I turned from the window. Yeah, just made coffee. Want some? She came into the kitchen, dropping her purse on the counter. She was wearing the blue dress, the one I'd always liked. Her hair was slightly mussed. Lipstick reapplied, but not quite perfect. I'm exhausted, she said, kicking off her shoes. That was the longest book club ever. Debbie wouldn't stop talking about the ending. Debbie, a name she'd just invented. Or maybe Debbie was real, and Natalie had borrowed her for this particular lie. How was the book? I asked. Oh, one of those domestic thrillers. Wife suspects husband is cheating, turns out she's the one with secrets. She laughed. Pretty predictable, honestly. I took a sip of coffee. It burned my tongue. You okay? She asked. You seem quiet. Just tired. Long day. She moved closer, wrapped her arms around my waist, rested her head against my chest. I could smell perfume, not the one she'd left the house wearing. Something different. Something new. I missed you, she said. I put my arms around her because that's what I was supposed to do. That's what Ryan would do. Ryan who trusted completely. Ryan who never checked. Missed you too, I said. She pulled back, looked up at me. You sure you're okay? Yeah. Fine. She studied my face for another moment, then kissed me. Her lips were soft. Familiar. The same lips that had kissed someone else 3 hours ago. I'm going to take a shower, she said. Long day. I watched her walk upstairs. Heard the bathroom door close. Heard the water start. My phone buzzed. You did good. I know that was hard. I stared at the message. Typed back, how long did you wait after you found out? The response came quickly. 2 weeks. Gathered everything I could. Bank statements, phone records, hotel receipts. When I finally confronted him, he couldn't lie his way out. Had everything I needed for the divorce. And then what? Then I took him for everything he had. House, savings. His precious boat. The court doesn't look kindly on cheaters, especially when you have proof. I heard the shower turn off upstairs. What about the other person, Jay? Still out there. Still doing the same thing to other marriages. That's why I'm helping you. Someone needs to stop him. Him. So Jay was a man. Natalie was having an affair with a married man who'd done this before. Who destroyed this person's marriage 6 months ago and moved on to mine without missing a beat? What's his full name? A long pause. 3 dots appearing and disappearing. Not yet. You'll want to confront him. That's a mistake. Get everything documented first. Then we burn them both. Natalie came downstairs in pajamas, hair wet, face scrubbed clean. She looked like herself again. Like the woman I'd married. Like the mother of my children. Like someone I knew. You coming to bed? She asked. In a bit. Want to finish this coffee? She kissed the top of my head as she passed. Don't stay up too late. I won't. I listened to her footsteps on the stairs, heard the bedroom door close, sat alone in the kitchen with cold coffee and a phone full of evidence. My hands started shaking then. Not much. Just a tremor I couldn't quite control. I looked at my phone, at the photos of journal entries, at the texts from the anonymous number, at Natalie's location, now a blue dot sitting right on top of mine. Home. My phone buzzed one more time. Tomorrow, check your airline miles account. That's where this whole thing started for me. That's where you'll find the next piece. I stared at the message. Airline miles. I opened the app on my phone, logged into our shared account, the one we'd had for years, accumulating points from work trips and family vacations, the one I never really paid attention to because Natalie handled all the travel planning. The screen loaded. Recent activity. 2 tickets booked for next month. Departure, our city. Destination, St. Lucia. A romantic island. 1 ticket in my name. 1 ticket in a name I'd never seen before. I stared at the screen for a long time. The booking confirmation glowed in the dim light of my office. Flight 847 to St. Lucia, departing April 15th. 2 seats, 12A and 12B. 1 passenger, Ryan Mitchell. 2nd passenger, Derek Lawson. Derek Lawson. Not Natalie Mitchell. Not my wife of 15 years. I pulled up a new browser tab and typed the name into Facebook. 3 Derek Lawsons in our state. The second one had a profile picture. Mid-40s, dark hair graying at the temples, expensive suit. His relationship status said, "It's complicated." I clicked through to his photos. Public album from 2 months ago. Weekend in Portland. There, in the background of a restaurant shot, partially cropped but unmistakable, Natalie. Her hand on the table, that silver bracelet I'd given her for our anniversary catching the light. My phone buzzed. Unknown. You found the tickets. Not a question, a statement. Me. Who the hell is Derek Lawson? Unknown. That's Jay. His wife filed 3 weeks ago. He told Natalie he was getting divorced for her. Classic move. Me. There's a ticket in my name. Unknown. Check the frequent flyer account number on that booking. I scrolled down. The account number started with DL, not RM. Derek Lawson's account. Someone had just entered my name as the passenger. Me. Why would he book it under my name? Unknown. Insurance. If anyone finds the booking, it looks like you're going to St. Lucia. With some guy named Derek. Raises questions about your fidelity, doesn't it? Muddies the water if things go south. Jesus. Unknown. There's a second booking. Same dates. Check her email, the one she thinks you don't know about. Me. What email? Unknown. The Gmail. N. Mitchell. 2024@gmail.com. Password is probably your kids' names or birthdays. They're never creative. I opened a new incognito window and pulled up Gmail, typed in the address. Password screen. I tried Emma 2011 Tyler 2014 invalid, Tyler Emma invalid. Emma and Tyler. The inbox opened, hundreds of messages. I scrolled past promotional junk, past confirmation emails from restaurants I'd never heard of. Then I found it. Another airline confirmation from 3 days ago. Same dates, same destination, different airline. Passenger 1, Natalie Mitchell. Passenger 2, Derek Lawson. 2 separate bookings, one designed to frame me, one for their actual trip. Me. I found it. Unknown. Smart, right? If you'd confronted her about the tickets, she'd act shocked. What are you talking about? That's your booking. Why is there a ticket in some strange man's name? Are you having an affair? Suddenly you're on defense. Me. This is insane. Unknown. This is calculated. Derek's a corporate attorney. He's been covering his tracks since day one. His wife had to hire a forensic accountant to find half of what he was hiding. Me. You keep saying, his wife. That's you. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Unknown. Yes. Me. What's your name? Unknown. Does it matter? Me. Yeah, it does. A long pause. Unknown. Jennifer. Jenny Lawson. Soon to be Jenny Brennan again. Me. How long were you married? Unknown. 19 years. 2 kids in college. He's fighting me for the house even though his girlfriend is the reason we're divorcing. Says I'm being unreasonable about the settlement. I looked at the airline confirmations again. April 15th. 2 weeks away. Me. What do I do with this? Unknown. Forward. Both confirmations to yourself from her email. Then delete the sent folder. Screenshot everything. The real booking and the fake one in your name. I did as she said, my hands moving automatically while my brain tried to process it all. Derek Lawson. A lawyer. Someone who'd been married almost as long as I had, who'd looked at his wife of 19 years and decided she was disposable. Me. Done. Unknown. Good. Now check the credit card statements, the one she doesn't think you can see. Me. Which one? Unknown. She opened a new card. Check the mail from the last 3 months. Look for anything from Capital One or Chase that you don't recognize. I went downstairs. Natalie was in the living room, watching something on Netflix. I could hear the TV through the closed door, some cooking show she liked. Just grabbing some water, I called out. Okay, babe. Babe. I went to the recycling bin in the garage where we kept mail before shredding, sorted through 3 weeks of junk, credit card offers, grocery store circulars, donation requests. Then I found it, a Capital One envelope addressed to Natalie Mitchell, already opened. I pulled out the statement. March 15th, Tiffany & Co. $847 March 18th. The Riverside Inn, $289 March 22nd. Nordstrom, $634 March 29th. The Riverside Inn, $289 April 1st. Delta Airlines, $1847 April 3rd. Victoria's Secret, $156 April 7th. The Riverside Inn, $289 $8,000 in charges. On a card I didn't know existed, I photographed every page. Me, found it. $8,000 in 3 weeks. Unknown, let me guess. Hotels, jewelry, lingerie, airline tickets. Me, yeah. Unknown. Derek's doing the same thing. Separate credit card, thinks I can't access it. His lawyer will argue it's not marital debt since it was opened during separation. Doesn't matter. Judge sees right through it. Me. She charged the airline tickets to this card. Unknown. Both bookings? Me. Just checked. The real one, yes. The fake one in my name is on Derek's card. Unknown. Perfect. That proves coordination. They're working together to frame you. I leaned against the garage wall, the credit card statement still in my hand. The Riverside Inn, 3 times in 1 month. That's where I'd found her last week. Where I'd sat in my truck in the parking lot, watching her car, knowing she was up there with him. Me. What's your end game here? Why are you helping me? Unknown. Because Derek's going to use every trick in the book to make me look crazy, to make it seem like I'm the problem. He's already told the mediator I'm emotionally unstable and making wild accusations. Your wife is going to do the same thing to you when this comes out. They've been planning this. Me. Planning what? Unknown. The exit strategy. They're going to flip the script. Make us the villains. Make themselves the victims of unhappy marriages who found real love with each other. But if we both have documentation, if we both show the pattern, the secret emails, the fake bookings, the hidden credit cards, then it's not 2 crazy exes making accusations. It's a coordinated affair with fraud and deception. My phone buzzed with an incoming call. Natalie. Ryan, where are you? I could hear the TV pause in the background. Garage, just looking for something. Well, come back in. I paused the show. Be right there. I hung up, looked at the credit card statement one more time before folding it and putting it back in the envelope, back in the recycling pile exactly where I'd found it. Me. She's asking where I am. Unknown. Act normal. You've been doing great so far. Me. This is so messed up. Unknown. I know, but you're almost through the hard part. You have the journal, the emails, the bookings, the credit card. That's more than most people get before their spouse drains the accounts and disappears. Me. What happens on April 15th? When they're supposed to leave? Unknown. That depends on what you do in the next 2 weeks. Me. What did you do? Unknown. I filed first, froze the joint accounts, had him served at his office in front of his partners. He didn't see it coming because he thought I was clueless, thought I'd just accept whatever he offered and go quietly. Me. Did it work? Unknown. He's paying my legal fees and I'm getting the house. So yeah, it worked. I heard footsteps above me. Natalie walking across the kitchen. Ryan? Coming. Me. I have to go. Unknown. One more thing. Check the joint savings account, the one for the kids' college fund. My stomach dropped. Me. Why? Unknown. Just check it. Then we'll talk tomorrow. She went offline. I pulled up our bank app with shaking hands. Navigated to the savings account we'd been building for Emma and Tyler since they were born. 16 years of deposits, birthday money from grandparents, tax returns, every bonus I'd ever gotten. Current balance, $4,047.89. It should have been $60,000. I stood in the garage, staring at the number on my phone, and felt something inside me go very still. The bonus miles email sat in my inbox like a piece of evidence I hadn't been looking for. I'd been systematically going through our financial records for 3 days now, building my case. Bank statements, credit card bills, the secret visa with its trail of hotel rooms and dinners for two. But this was different. This was stupid. Airlines didn't just give you bonus miles for booking 2 tickets. They gave you miles for flying, which meant these tickets had already been used. I clicked through to my account. Sure enough, there it was. A completed round-trip flight to Cancun from February 14th to February 18th. Valentine's Day weekend. 4 nights. 1 ticket in my name. 1 ticket for Ashley Brennan. I stared at the screen, my coffee going cold in my hand. Ashley Brennan. I'd never heard that name in my life. The destination made my stomach turn. Cancun. The same place Natalie and I had gone for our 10th anniversary. She'd posted about it constantly. Sunset photos, beach shots, that one picture of us at the resort restaurant where she'd worn the blue dress. I clicked over to the booking details. Seats 12A and 12B. Checked bags. A room at the Grand Sunset Princess, the adults-only section. The same resort. The same room category we'd stayed in. My hands were shaking as I pulled up our bank statements for February. Valentine's Day weekend. Where had I been? Then I remembered. Emma's travel volleyball tournament in Indianapolis. The big regional qualifier. I'd taken both kids because Natalie said she had a work conference in Chicago. Some marketing summit she couldn't miss. She'd been so apologetic about it, missing Valentine's Day. Had even left me a card on the kitchen counter with a promise we'd celebrate when she got back. I'd found that card sweet at the time, thoughtful. Now I wanted to burn it. I pulled up her Instagram from that weekend. There they were, the photos I'd seen while sitting in a hotel room in Indianapolis, watching Tyler's team lose in the semifinals. Natalie at what looked like a conference center. A selfie with her coffee, caption, "Early morning sessions, missing my people." A photo of a hotel room window with a city skyline. Chicago views. Except now I was looking at them differently. That skyline photo, I pulled it up full screen and zoomed in. The angle was wrong. Too much ocean in the reflection on the glass. You couldn't see ocean from downtown Chicago. The coffee selfie. I could see the edge of something in the background. Something that looked like a palm frond. She'd posted fake photos, or carefully cropped ones. The whole weekend had been a performance for an audience of friends and family while she was actually in Mexico with Derek, using a ticket in my name. That's when it clicked. The fraudulent booking I'd found earlier, the one with my name and Derek's to St. Lucia. That wasn't the first time. This was a pattern. She'd been using my identity to book trips, probably to hide the paper trail from Derek's wife. If Jenny ever checked Derek's credit cards, she'd see charges for solo travel, not romantic getaways for two. But the airlines didn't lie. The miles didn't lie. I opened a new spreadsheet and started cross-referencing dates. Every time Natalie had a work trip or girls' weekend in the past 6 months, I checked my airline account. September, Miami. My name and Jessica Torres. 3 nights. November, Charleston. My name and Michelle Parker. 2 nights. February, Cancun. My name and Ashley Brennan. 4 nights. Different women's names every time. All fake, obviously. All with tickets booked on a credit card I was now realizing must be in my name too. One I'd never seen or authorized. That was identity theft, fraud, actual crimes. I sat back in my office chair, the spreadsheet glowing on my screen. The college fund was one thing. That was our money, even if she'd stolen it. But this? This was using my name, my credit, my identity to facilitate an affair. My phone buzzed. A text from Jenny Lawson. Have you checked airline records? They're often overlooked. I almost laughed. Yeah, I just checked them. Found multiple trips booked in my name with fake women's names. Different aliases each time. February, November, September at least. 3 dots appeared immediately. Derek told me he went to those cities for work. I saw the charges, hotels, dinners. He said they were client meetings. They were together, using my identity. The dots appeared and disappeared several times. That's identity fraud. That's a felony. I knew. I was already pulling up the credit monitoring service I'd signed up for 2 days ago. It took me 15 minutes to find it. A Delta Sky Miles credit card, opened in my name 18 months ago. Billing address listed as a P.O. box I'd never heard of. The current balance was $23,847. I scrolled through the charges. Flights, hotels, resort fees, restaurants. Every romantic weekend they'd taken together, charged to a card in my name that I'd never touched. The statements had been going to that P.O. box, which meant Natalie had rented it specifically for this purpose. Premeditated, calculated. Not a moment of weakness or a mistake. A systematic operation. My email dinged. Another message, this time from the credit card company. A fraud alert I'd set up was triggering. Someone had just tried to use the Delta card to book another flight. I clicked through to the alert details. 2 tickets to St. Lucia. April 15th. Departure, just like the booking I'd already found. Except this time, both tickets had fake names. Ryan Mitchell and Sophia Bennett. The charge had been declined. Probably because I'd frozen the account 2 days ago when I'd first discovered it. She was still trying, still planning the trip. Even now, with me sleeping next to her every night, eating breakfast with our kids every morning, she was actively booking romantic getaways with another man using my stolen identity. I took a screenshot of the declined transaction, added it to the folder. Then I pulled up the credit card's full transaction history and downloaded 18 months of statements. Every dinner, every hotel room, every flight. A complete record of their affair, all paid for with my credit, in my name. My phone rang. Jenny Lawson, not texting this time. "You found the credit card," she said when I answered. Not a question. 18 months of charges, $24,000. Derek has one too, in his name, but I never knew about it. I found it last week in his office, hidden in a file labeled Tax Records 2019. Who looks at old tax records? How much? 31,000. I think he paid for the bigger expenses, the resort packages, the flights. She probably covered dinners and incidentals. $55,000 between them. On top of the $56,000 missing from our kids' college fund. On top of the $8,000 on Natalie's secret visa. I called my lawyer this morning, Jenny said. Her voice was steady, matter-of-fact. Told him about the credit card fraud, the identity theft. He says it changes things. It's not just adultery anymore. It's criminal. What did he say to do? File a police report. Get it on record. It protects you, proves you didn't authorize the charges, and it gives you leverage. Leverage. The word hung in the air. I'm filing for divorce next week, she continued. I wanted to wait, gather more evidence, but my lawyer says I have enough. More than enough. The credit card fraud alone is. He used words like slam dunk and she won't get a penny. She? I asked. Natalie, in the divorce. My lawyer says, with this level of fraud and deception, especially the identity theft, a judge will crucify her. She stole from your children's future. She committed felonies to finance an affair. No judge will look kindly on that. I stared at my computer screen, at the spreadsheet of fake names and stolen trips. When are you filing the police report? I asked. Tomorrow, are you? I thought about it. Once I filed that report, there was no going back. It would be official, criminal. Natalie wouldn't just lose in divorce court. She could face actual charges. Yeah, I said. Tomorrow. My lawyer suggested we coordinate. File the reports the same day, reference each other's cases. It establishes a pattern. Makes it harder for them to claim it was a misunderstanding or a mistake. Okay. Ryan? Her voice softened slightly. I know this is hard, but they did this to themselves. They made these choices. After we hung up, I sat in my office for a long time, looking at the evidence spread across my desk. Printouts, screenshots, bank statements, credit card bills, the journal entries, the airline confirmations. Downstairs, I could hear Natalie helping Emma with homework. Her voice drifted up through the vents, patient and warm, as she explained some math concept. Mom of the year. Wife of the year. Felon. My phone buzzed one more time. A calendar reminder I'd set days ago. April 15th, St. Lucia trip, their trip. 2 weeks away. I wondered if she was planning to tell me she had a work conference, or maybe another girls' weekend. Some story she'd already crafted, already rehearsed in front of the mirror. I wondered if she'd already packed. If the outfits were hanging in the back of her closet, waiting. I wondered if she had any idea that instead of boarding a plane to St. Lucia in 2 weeks, she'd be sitting across from a divorce attorney looking at police reports with her name on them. Tomorrow I'd file the report. Tomorrow this would all become official. But tonight, I had one more thing to check. I pulled up the P.O. Box rental agreement I'd found buried in the credit card documentation. The box had been rented for 2 years, paid annually. The next payment was due in 3 days. I smiled for the first time in a week. I wasn't going to renew it. The police station smelled like burnt coffee and floor cleaner. I sat in a plastic chair in the lobby at 9:17 a.m., the folder of evidence on my lap feeling like it weighed 50 pounds. I'd barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that airline booking confirmation. My name next to Derek Lawson's, headed to St. Lucia for a romantic getaway I knew nothing about. A uniformed officer called my name. Ryan Mitchell? I stood, gripping the folder. He led me down a hallway to a small office where a detective sat behind a desk covered in file folders and coffee-stained paperwork. Detective Brian Walsh, according to the nameplate. Late 40s, graying hair, tired eyes that had probably seen every variation of human dishonesty. Mr. Mitchell, have a seat. He gestured to the chair across from him. Officer Perry says you're here to report identity theft? Yes. I set the folder on his desk and opened it. My wife has been using my identity to book airline tickets for herself and the man she's having an affair with. Walsh's expression didn't change. He'd heard worse, probably. Walk me through it. I laid out the printouts one by one. The St. Lucia booking in my name with Derek Lawson's. The credit card statements showing $23,147 in charges I never made. The bank statements showing the missing $56,000 from the college fund. These purchases, I said, pointing to the credit card statement. Hotels, flights, restaurants. None of it was me. She opened this card in my name without my knowledge or consent. Walsh picked up the airline confirmation, studying it. This booking shows your name and a Derek Lawson traveling together to St. Lucia on April 15th. Right, but I'm not going to St. Lucia. I didn't book this ticket. My wife booked it using my identity so it would look like I was traveling with him, probably to avoid suspicion if anyone checked. The real tickets are in her name and his. You have proof of the real tickets? I pulled out another printout. Same dates, same flights, different booking reference number. Natalie Mitchell and Derek Lawson. Walsh set down the papers and leaned back in his chair. And the credit card? You're saying you never applied for this? Never. I didn't know it existed until yesterday. She must have forged my signature on the application. Do you have a copy of the application? My stomach sank. No, I just have the statements that started showing up. We'll need to subpoena that from the credit card company. He made a note. What about the bank account, the college fund? Is that a joint account? Yes. Then legally, she has access to those funds. That's not theft in the eyes of the law. It's a civil matter for the divorce court. I'd expected that, but it still stung. $56,000 just gone. And nothing criminal about it because her name was on the account. But the credit card fraud, Walsh said, that's different. If she forged your signature and made purchases without your authorization, that's identity theft, criminal offense. He pulled a form from his drawer. I'm going to take your statement and we'll open an investigation. For the next 40 minutes, I walked him through everything. Every charge on the credit card, every fake booking, the timeline of the affair as far as I could piece it together. Walsh wrote it all down in methodical detail. One more thing, I said. There's another victim, Jenny Lawson, Derek's wife. He's been doing the same thing to her, using her identity to book trips, opening credit cards in her name. Walsh looked up. Is she filing a report? She said she was, maybe at a different station. He checked his computer. Nothing in the system yet under that name. You have her contact information? I pulled out my phone and found Jenny's number in my recent messages. Walsh copied it down. We'll reach out to her, he said. If there's a pattern of fraud between the two of them, your wife and Derek Lawson, that strengthens both cases. He printed out a case number and handed it to me. Keep this. You'll need it for the credit card company and for your divorce attorney. We'll investigate, pull the credit card application, interview your wife and Mr. Lawson. This could take a few weeks. The trip is in 2 weeks, I said. April 15th. They're planning to go. Walsh's expression was neutral. We'll work as fast as we can. In the meantime, I'd recommend freezing your credit, checking for any other accounts opened in your name, and changing all your passwords. I nodded. I'd already started that process last night, sitting at my kitchen table at 2 in the morning while Natalie slept upstairs. And Mr. Mitchell? Walsh met my eyes. I know this is personal, but let us handle the investigation. Don't confront them yourself. Don't do anything that could compromise the case. I won't. I left the station at 10:43 a.m. with a case number and a hollow feeling in my chest. My phone buzzed as I reached my truck. A text from Jenny. Just filed my report. Detective Amy Porter. She's taking it seriously. Said the same thing. Pattern of fraud makes both cases stronger. I texted back. Filed mine too. Detective Walsh. They're going to coordinate. 3 dots appeared, then, good. How are you holding up? I stared at the question. How was I holding up? My wife had stolen my identity, drained my kids' college fund, and was planning a romantic island getaway with her lawyer boyfriend in 2 weeks. I was holding up by sheer force of will and the knowledge that the law was finally on my side. One step at a time, I typed. Same. Let me know if you hear anything. I drove to the office of Patricia Vance, the divorce attorney I'd contacted yesterday. Her practice was in a professional building downtown, 3rd floor, glass door with her name in gold lettering. The receptionist led me to a conference room where Vance was waiting. She was in her mid-50s, sharp-eyed, with the kind of no-nonsense demeanor that told me she'd handled plenty of messy divorces. Mr. Mitchell, she shook my hand. You said on the phone you have documentation? I laid out the folder again. The airline bookings, the credit card fraud, the bank statements, the journal entries. Vance went through each page methodically, making notes on a legal pad. This is solid, she said finally. The journal alone establishes the affair. The financial fraud gives us grounds for a very favorable settlement. She looked up at me. You filed a police report this morning? Yes. Identity theft and credit card fraud. Good. That creates a criminal record that we can reference in the divorce proceedings. In this state, adultery is considered in the division of assets, especially when combined with financial misconduct. She tapped the credit card statement. $23,000 in fraudulent charges. $56,000 missing from the college fund. We can argue for restitution and a larger share of marital assets for you. What about the house? Joint property. But given her conduct, we can petition for you to retain primary residence, especially with the children involved. How old are your kids? 13 and 10. At 13, Emma's preference will be considered by the court. Tyler's too, to a lesser extent. If they want to stay with you, that weighs heavily. She made another note. I'll draft the divorce petition today. We can file by end of week. How much does your wife know? Nothing. She thinks everything is normal. Vance's expression was carefully neutral. That won't last once she's served. You need to be prepared for her reaction. I recommend having a plan in place, where you'll stay, how you'll handle the children, what you'll say. I'm not leaving the house, I said. She can leave. Legally, you can't force her out until the court issues an order, but you can ask her to go voluntarily. Vance leaned forward. Here's my advice. When she's served, be calm. Don't engage in arguments. Document everything, every conversation, every interaction. If she becomes hostile or threatening, call the police. We need a record of her behavior. I thought about Natalie's face when she realized I knew. The mask dropping, the lies exposed. I can do that. One more thing. Vance pulled out another form. I'm going to file for a temporary restraining order on the joint accounts. That'll prevent her from draining any more money before the divorce is finalized. It'll take a few days to process, but once it's in place, she won't be able to touch the accounts without court approval. Relief washed over me. At least the bleeding would stop. We spent another 30 minutes going over details, custody arrangements, asset division, timeline for the proceedings. Vance estimated 6 months to a year for the divorce to finalize, depending on whether Natalie contested. She'll contest, I said. She's not going to just accept this. Most don't, but we have the evidence. That makes all the difference. I left her office at 12:20 p.m. with a retainer agreement signed and a court date pending. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Jenny. Derek just called me. Furious. Police contacted him about the fraud investigation. He's threatening to sue me for filing a false report. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Let him threaten. You have evidence. So do I. I know, it's starting. The whole thing is starting. Yeah, it was. The process server caught Natalie at the grocery store on a Tuesday afternoon. I wasn't there to see it, but Emma told me about it later. How Mom had been loading groceries into the car when a woman approached with an envelope. How Mom's face had gone white as she read the papers. How she'd sat in the driver's seat for 20 minutes before driving home. I was waiting in the living room when she walked in. The divorce petition was crumpled in her fist. Ryan. Her voice shook. Not with sadness. With rage. What the hell is this? It's a divorce petition. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. You can't be serious. We can talk about this. Whatever you think. I know about Derek Lawson. I kept my voice level. I know about the trips, the credit card fraud, the college fund, all of it. Her face went through several expressions in rapid succession. Shock, denial, calculation. She settled on wounded innocence. I don't know what you're talking about. Who told you? Did someone put ideas in your head? This is insane. I pulled out my phone and opened the photos. Her journal entries, the airline bookings, the credit card statements. I held up the screen so she could see. You used my identity to book trips with your boyfriend. That's a felony, Natalie. The police are investigating right now. The color drained from her face. You went to the police? I filed a report yesterday. So did Jenny Lawson, Derek's wife. You remember her, right? The woman whose husband you've been sleeping with for the past year? She sank onto the couch, the divorce papers falling from her hand. Ryan, please. We can fix this. There's nothing to fix. You stole from our children's future. You committed fraud. You lied to me for months. I picked up the papers and set them on the coffee table in front of her. My attorney will be in touch about custody arrangements. Custody? Her head snapped up. You're not taking my kids. I'm not taking them. But they're going to choose where they want to live. Emma already knows something's wrong. She's 13, Natalie. She's not stupid. You told her? The rage was back. You told our daughter. I didn't have to tell her anything. She figured it out when you got served in the parking lot. I stood up. I'm staying in the house. You can stay too if you want, but I'd recommend finding somewhere else. Your parents' place, maybe. Or Derek's, since his wife kicked him out last week. Her mouth opened and closed. How do you? Jenny and I have been comparing notes. Turns out you and Derek left quite the paper trail. The next 2 weeks were brutal. Natalie hired an attorney who immediately tried to paint me as controlling and paranoid. But Patricia Vance was ready. She filed motions to freeze the remaining assets, presented the police report to the judge, and submitted every piece of evidence I'd collected. The temporary hearing was on April 12th, 3 days before the St. Lucia trip that was never going to happen. The judge was a woman in her 60s named Margaret Brennan. She read through the evidence with an expression that grew progressively colder. Mrs. Mitchell, she said finally, you opened a credit card in your husband's name without his knowledge or consent? Natalie's attorney jumped in. Your Honor, there's some dispute about. It's a yes or no question, counselor. Natalie looked at her lawyer, then at me, then back at the judge. Yes. But I was going to pay it back. With the $56,000 you withdrew from the college savings account? Silence. Your Honor, her attorney tried again. My client made some poor financial decisions during a difficult time in the marriage. Poor financial decisions? Judge Brennan's voice could have cut glass. She committed identity theft to finance an extramarital affair. That's not a poor decision. That's a crime. She turned to me. Mr. Mitchell, you're requesting primary custody and the marital home? Yes, Your Honor. Granted. Temporary order in place until the final hearing. Mrs. Mitchell, You'll have supervised visitation every other weekend until we can establish that you're a stable presence in your children's lives. You have 1 week to vacate the marital home." Natalie's face crumpled. "You can't. They're my children. You should have thought about that before you stole their college fund." The judge signed the order with a sharp stroke. Next case. Natalie moved out on April 18th. She took her clothes, some furniture, and the last shreds of her dignity. Emma watched from the upstairs window, her face unreadable. Tyler hid in his room. Derek Lawson's divorce went through faster than ours. Jenny got the house, the boat, and a settlement that left him scrambling. His law firm quietly asked him to resign when the fraud charges became public. Turns out corporate attorneys who commit identity theft aren't great for the company image. Natalie and Derek did eventually take a trip together to court for their arraignment on fraud charges. The prosecutor offered them a plea deal: restitution, probation, and community service. They both took it. Neither could afford a trial. The final divorce hearing was in October, 6 months after that first police report. By then, the outcome was a foregone conclusion. I got the house, primary custody, and a judgment requiring Natalie to repay the stolen college fund at $2,000 a month. At that rate, the kids would have their money back by the time Emma graduated high school. Maybe. Natalie got visitation rights and a small portion of our remaining assets. She moved into an apartment across town and got a job at a marketing firm. I heard through mutual friends that she and Derek broke up 3 months after the divorce was finalized. Apparently, the romance wasn't quite as magical when it wasn't secret anymore. Emma adjusted better than I expected. She started therapy, made new friends, threw herself into volleyball. Tyler struggled more. He was younger, didn't understand why mom had left. But slowly, with counseling and routine, he found his footing again. I never heard from Jenny Lawson again after our final court date. We'd served our purpose for each other. Two people who'd been betrayed, who'd helped each other find the truth. But there was nothing beyond that. No friendship, no connection, just a shared experience we both wanted to move past. On what would have been my 16th wedding anniversary, I took the kids to the lake house we used to rent every summer. We scattered the ashes of Biscuit, who died peacefully in his sleep the month before. Emma cried. Tyler threw rocks into the water. And I stood there watching the sun set over the same lake where Natalie and I had once talked about growing old together. Life doesn't give you the ending you plan. Sometimes it doesn't even give you the ending you deserve. But it gives you the ending you create through the choices you make. Natalie chose deception. She chose to steal from her children's future for a fantasy that couldn't survive daylight. She chose convenience over character, excitement over integrity. And in the end, those choices cost her everything she'd claimed to value. I chose differently. When I found that first screenshot, I could have looked away. Could have pretended I didn't see it. Could have confronted her in anger and blown up my life without evidence or planning. Instead, I chose to be methodical, to document, to protect myself and my children, to let the truth speak for itself in a courtroom where lies couldn't hide. People ask me sometimes if I regret it. If I wish I'd tried to save the marriage, gone to counseling, given her another chance? The answer is no. Because the marriage I thought I had never existed. It was a performance, a stage set that looked real from the outside but was hollow at its core. You can't save something that was never genuine to begin with. What I saved was myself, and my kids, and the future we deserved. One built on truth instead of lies, on reality instead of illusion. Emma's in high school now, talking about college scholarships. Tyler's playing basketball and making honor roll. The house is quieter than it used to be, but it's honest. No more secrets hidden in journals. No more blue dots on hotel maps. No more wondering if the person sleeping next to me is the person I think she is. Just us. Moving forward. Building something real. And that, I've learned, is worth more than any fantasy could ever be.